2FM. Game On's Fantasy Football.
Yes, you're very welcome along to the Game On Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Game Week 27. Yes, how they fly so quickly by. Let's have a quick look back with Phil McGrath and Paul Caffrey about Game Week 26. Yes, good evening, lads.
How are we?
We're very good. We're very good. Hey, Paul.
How's it going?
Yeah, everyone's on the pod.
That's good. I'm still getting over the fact there were so many games cancelled in the last game week. It was very, very frustrating. I missed out on 5 players playing.
Ooh, I don't think I was quite as bad as 5. I think I managed to field a team of 9.
I think I fielded a team of 9 as well.
I missed out on my cheeky Jekyll captain that I threw in last minute. I thought I was onto a great one there, and the match didn't even happen.
It didn't even happen. No.
Yeah.
Probably saved your blushes, let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't know about that. On top of that, they ain't compounded by getting stuck in Scotland, but that's another story.
Right, what happened in Game Week 26? Happened so long ago. Yes, mere days. Cardiff City 0, Aston Villa 0, Hull City 0, Southampton 1. Goal scored by Fonte. West Ham 2-0 winners over Norwich. And it was Collins and Diame with the goals for the Hammers. West Brom 1, Chelsea 1. Ivanovic on the score sheet for Chelsea. Anichebe with a late equaliser for West Brom. Scoreless between Arsenal and Manchester United. Bottled it, apparently. So according to Jose said. Newcastle 0, Tottenham Hotspur 4. And it was a great little performance by Spurs. Paulinho, Chadley and Adebayor with 2 assists from Bentaleb. More on him later on. And also Adebayor got on the assist sheet as well. So great scoring from Adebayor. Stoke City 1, Swansea 1. Crouch with the goal for Stoke. Chico with the goal for Swansea. And it was Fulham 2, Liverpool 3. Renan Milstein's last game in charge of Fulham, it turned out to be. And I thought they played quite well. Anyway, the goal was scored. An own goal from Toure, of course. You'll remember that one.
It was a beauty.
Richardson then got the second of the Fulham goals. And the Liverpool goals came from Sturridge, Coutinho and Gerrard, who hasn't lost it and is brilliant. And forgot what I said weeks ago about him bad and
I tried to tell you just wouldn't listen to me.
Anyway, forget about me. Right, that was Game Week 26. You'll probably remember it from those helpful hints, hopefully. And now we're going to look ahead to Game Week 27. Right, Game Week 27. So it is. We're going to have 3 focus games. Phil, where are we going to start?
Chelsea-Everton.
Chelsea-Everton, yes. Where would you start? The 12:45 game on Saturday morning. Chelsea.
Yeah, listen, as far as I can see, this is all Chelsea, and that's why I brought it up, because I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me. But Chelsea unbeaten in the last 6, 4 wins, 2 draws. They've racked up 28 goals at home this season, which I think is the 3rd highest scoring team at home.
Considering they don't have scoring strikers, it's a pretty good achievement.
Well, yeah. Pretty, you can't argue with that. I mean, Eto'o has slightly come into the reckoning over the last couple of weeks, but not enough to be in my contention, really.
No.
But they've only conceded 9 goals at home all season, which is very, very good by Chelsea.
This is the trick.
Yeah, well, if you don't concede, you give yourself a better chance of winning. And they've picked up 5 clean sheets, which goes a long way to that. And Everton, surprisingly enough, I suppose the best stat I can give you is the fact that they've only won 4 games away from home all season. They've 2 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses in the last 6.
That surprises me.
Yeah, it actually surprised me when I really went and had a look. Now, I think they have a good couple of draws away from home, but they've only managed 14 goals on their travels and they've conceded 16 with 4 clean sheets. Everything is telling me, like I said, that this is Chelsea all over. Everton have failed to score in the last 2 away games, and I really do fancy Chelsea to push on. I know that they're going to have one eye in the Champions League the following Tuesday. I think Chelsea are playing, but
Galatasaray.
Yeah, no disrespect to Galatasaray.
Could be a Wednesday, and it is away in Turkey.
Yeah,
but it does. You're right, though. It is something that they'll have to consider. They'll have to be, because the amount of money that's involved in the Champions League, you have to consider the Wednesday game.
They will be mindful of it, certainly. Yeah. But I think I do genuinely think that this has Chelsea written all over. I think you can look to Chelsea for a clean sheet. Ivanovic has been in such good form in the last couple of games. I think he's certainly one to consider. Hazard is the man that we know can produce the goods. I think 8 of his 12 goals this season have come at home, along with a good couple of his assists. So he certainly produces more often and not at the bridge than he does away from home. And he's a must-have at this point. It's 10.9 million. I think he's coming in at, at 39.8% ownership.
Oh, I like it. Down to the decimal place.
You've got to, and I'm
nerd.
not looking at that, and Andrew can tell everyone who's.
No, I looked
it.
it up. He didn't.
I think Hazard is certainly worth considering. And outside of those, I think that's about it. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot from Everton. I think they are desperately missing Lukaku. Naismith should be fit after picking up concussion in the FA Cup, but
he's good value, but not for this game.
Not at all. No. So I don't know. Paul's probably going to completely blow me out of water there, but that's how I see it.
Paul, start with the home team. Chelsea. Apart from Hazard, have you got anyone to add?
No, I think we've covered off Chelsea pretty much.
Okay.
It's fairly well off.
I'm going to get the whip out and move you on Everton. Go on. Get stuck in the toffees.
Everton, I don't necessarily think that it's time to jump off the bandwagon of Everton.
Hey, bandwagon!
Hey, haven't heard of bandwagon in a while. You usually jump. Paul's usually a bandwagon jumper honor. So ears have just been pricked up there. Go on.
The latest. Everton is the new bandwagon coming. If you look over the years, they have gotten results at Stamford Bridge in years gone by. But let's put this week aside. They do have West Ham at home, they've Cardiff at home, Swansea at home, and then an away trip to Fulham coming up in their next 4 games. So with that in mind, you would expect, you're going to have your Seamus Coleman, you're going to hold on to him. Tim Howard might not be a bad keeper to invest in again. And Naismith, he might not be prolific, but he does score strikers' goals. If you look at the goals that he scored in the FA Cup, it was very much that, pouncing on a mistake, which if you're not a forward, you're not going to do that. So he is certainly, probably not going to make it into your third striker spot. But I would be expecting big things from Everton over the next 4 or 5 game weeks. So, maybe this week you have them played them just because they can do well at Chelsea, and as they do have that away trip to Galatasaray coming up, which isn't actually as easy a game as some people may think. And don't sell just yet.
Okay, Phil, there's one thing more to add.
Just be mindful of the upcoming fixtures. I know Paul has listed off good fixtures, but have a look at the fixture list over the next couple of weeks. I'll get to that as we get further on. But there's a couple of teams who won't be featuring in and around, and certainly then it's worth.
Everton might be one of those.
Everton have no fixture in game week 29. Game week 29.
2 weeks time.
All right. Second of our focus games is at.
Second of our focus games is at the Etihad.
The Etihad. It is Manchester City up against Stoke City.
Yeah, I'm all about goals this week and home teams, to be honest.
I like it.
Especially for the first 2 games. City and Stoke, listen, we seen City last night against Barca.
They're out. They should concentrate in the league.
Yeah.
That's where we're at, isn't it?
They certainly should. I listen, I do think they were a bit unlucky. I don't think it was a penalty, but when you dive in like that, you're asking for trouble. So,
and it's Dean Michaelis.
Yeah.
Did you see the tweet that happened seconds after the penalty that said that Barcelona were going to appeal Dean Michaelis is sending off?
They'd rather he played the second leg. Exactly. But I mean, City, 1 loss in the last 6. That was, of course, against Chelsea. But they've racked up 42 goals at home in 13 games. They've only conceded 9, and they've got 6 clean sheets. They are the top scorers in the league in terms of home games. Stoke are on a little bit of revival. 1 win, 2 draws and 3 losses in the last 6. Now that's, the last 3 games. They're unbeaten in 3, I think. But they've only scored 10 goals in 13 away games and conceded 27. So, despite the fact that Mark Hughes has them playing better football, they are conceding goals away from home. And that's because they're not as defensively solid as they once were, obviously, under Pulis. But for me, it's City all over the shop again. It's City at the back. It's City in the middle. It's City up top. It's City all over. So I could name players, but there's probably not much point. I think everyone knows who the mainstays are at this point. The only thing I would say is that Yaya Toure, at the money he's at, is starting to get a bit too pricey for my liking.
10.2. Got rid of him ages ago. Paul, have you anything to add to that? We're not going near Stoke, but there's no point in listing Manchester City players because we know them all.
I think Yaya Toure is carrying a bit of an injury, truth be told. If you look at the performances he's putting in, he doesn't look fully fit for myself. However, have him playing. Zeko I brought him in. He's been getting a lot more game time recently. Aguero is not expected back for a couple of weeks.
So you're going to leave Zeko in, Paul? Because I had Zeko and I was thinking of changing him, and then I thought I just might leave him in for the
Well, I
minute.
have him. I'm going to hold on to him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave Zeko in there. And Negredo, for me, showed against Barcelona that he's not quite a top quality striker, although he's very,
a good
very
player,
good.
not a great player.
Yeah, I think that's a fair.
All right.
We'll
leave Uncle Emo with the last words on Alvaro.
Yeah, transfer them across. So yeah, I'd be looking at that. Obviously, Fernandinho, he's good value at 7.1. He's getting forward a little bit more, and he really is a main player for Manchester City this year. So they are the players. Yeah, bring in 3 if you can. I'm going to have Yaya Toure this week. I'm going to have Zeko. And if I can jig things around, I might throw Kolarov in at the back.
Now,
he's playing a little bit further forward.
Yes, and yes, I agree with Paul. However, the biggest problem we do have is that City then do not play for 2 weeks. So you have no City game week 28, no City game week 29. We won't see them again until game week 30.
That's why you're top of the table, Phil.
When they go up against Hull. Now listen, you've Stoke this week. We expect good returns. You've 2 blanks, then you've got Hull. I'd expect returns. Then you've got Fulham. I'd expect returns. And then it's the Manchester derby.
We don't like shooting blanks though in this game because.
No. But see, they have a double game week in game week 31.
Yeah, but bring them in for game week 31. Exactly. Why bring them in this week and then have nothing for 2 weeks?
What I would say is, I wouldn't go bringing extra City players in just for 1 week against Stoke. However, if I could afford to, if I had 3, maybe if I could keep 2 on the bench rather than having to waste transfers coming back into game week 30 and then you're doubling 31, certainly I'd look at doing that. It's not always going to be possible, but if you could, I'd certainly consider it. But just bear in mind that if you're bringing players in this week, they're not going to play for 2 weeks. But that's not to say they're not going to get points.
All right. Okay. I presume everyone's in full agreement with that. Right. Is Manchester United in the third focus game?
No.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to bring this up now, right? Mata. I have Mata. And a lot of people have Mata.
United results are failing, but Mata's consistency is still there. Apart from the blank against Arsenal, he has produced attacking returns in every game he's played in a red shirt.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just wondering, for that amount of money, should I be demanding more than 23 points in 4 games?
Yeah, okay. So for that amount of money, so we're talking, what's he at now? He is at
9.8 million.
9.8, okay. So who are you going to get for in and around that money?
Well, I mean, Gerrard, he's scoring more points at the moment. He's only 9. Ramsey's going to come back in a while.
That's a
He's
while.
7. Ozil, 9.7. There's completely in the right frame of mind.
He's causing Arsenal more problems at the moment.
I agree.
Nolan is the player that I like for 6.7.
But do you need to sell Mata to bring in Nolan? That's the point, you see.
No.
For the money he's at, there's very few in and around that price bracket. Certainly there's some cheaper that may be worth looking at, and I'll get to those when we go through best of the rest. But I'd hang on to him, and I am personally keeping him, and I'm tipping him to do well this week.
More on that and on. Let's get the third of the focus games then.
Upton Park, West Ham and Southampton. This is certainly the battle of the midfields, I'd nearly say at this point, because you've 1 or 2 players on both sides. Nolan, obviously, as you just mentioned, is a man that a lot of players have been looking at over the last couple of weeks, and rightly so. He's got decent returns. 6.7 million means he does just, and I say just about, fall into that squad player, but it's a blank against Norwich at home. I expected better from him. That's the only problem that I see with it. Now, obviously, this week Southampton on the road have been reasonably solid as well, but West Ham boast the best defence in the country with 12 clean sheets, I think, and they've picked up 6 of those at home.
Disappointing in the cup, but it doesn't really matter. And they did play.
No,
they both played to the weakened teams.
Well, that's it. I mean, and if you look at the turnaround, really, West Ham have only lost 1 of the last 6 with 4 wins and a draw in the other 5. So I mean, and I listened to an interview with Big Sam there yesterday. West Ham on an open training day at Upton Park because the kids are on half term over there, and so they got the boys out to train.
Got a lot of people to fill the Olympic Stadium next year.
Yeah, they do.
We need a lot of friends, said West Ham.
But Big Sam was asked, you turned around. He said, listen, it's down to nothing major, Bart, getting lads fit. We've got lads coming back and lads are fit. Southampton have actually been reasonably poor in terms of scoring goals away from home. They've only not knocked up 16, which isn't that impressive.
Where are your points going to come from? I mean, I like the logic of the fact that you've chosen the game. I know there are points here. I just don't know how to predict them. I have Collins. I'm delighted that I brought him in last week for 15 points. He's been scoring heavily. I'm delighted I have him. I will play him.
I don't think West Ham will get a clean sheet, but if I had a West Ham defender, I would play them in the off chance.
Yeah.
But I mean, realistically looking at it, for me, I think Nolan in the midfield is certainly the one to be looking at there for West Ham. And obviously, if you look at the Southampton midfield, then you've got Lallana, who I kind of thought may fall away, hasn't done so. He's still producing the goods. He's still he's picked up attacking returns on all but one of his last 6 games, I think. So you can't really argue with 3 goals and 2 assists in 6 games. He's the one to have a look at there. And then up front for Southampton, Lambert is still getting goals. He's still floating around the place. He's still picking up goals. And also Rodriguez at 6.7. Now my major problem with Rodriguez is he's normally played off the left. He's not played as an out and out striker, and Lambert has been getting game time, and I he's pushing to try and get himself on the plane to Rio. And he did have the blank last week, but I mean when you look, he 2 goals in the previous weeks and 2 assists back in game week 24. No, it was against Fulham, so there is plenty of value. I think is probably the best way to put it. A lot of players in and around that kind of 6, 7, 8 million pound mark in this game that you're going to find: Nolan, Lallana, Lambert, Rodriguez, and certainly if I had defenders off either side, because of the kind of unpredictability at times it is 2 teams, if I had defenders on either side, I would play them, because there is that chance that just it's not going to be their day, it's not going to happen, and you have the backup there for clean sheets.
All right, Paul, what's your reading of this one?
I think it's a good overview. Adam Lallana is probably worth bringing in, really, for the fact obviously this week there's the potential, but as was pointed out, game week. The next game week we're going to have 4 teams missing, and the game week after that will be 8 teams who won't be playing. But Lallana is going to play in those 2 game weeks, with the home fixture against Liverpool and an away trip to Palace after this West Ham game, and then that's followed by a home game against Norwich. So if you're looking to get the jump, he's a player who's in form, playing for a team who actually have winnable games over a period. A number of other players aren't even going to play a minute.
All right, interesting stuff. That they are our focus games. We're going to crack on with the best of the rest. Right, I'm going to start straight away with Arsenal against Sunderland, and Arsenal, of course, they are playing as we're doing this pod. They're just about to kick off against Bayern Munich. It is Wednesday evening in real time, so we don't know what's going to happen tonight, but we know they're second in the table going into this game, 1 point behind Chelsea. Chelsea, of course, had that tough game at home to Everton. Arsenal may see this as, well, they'll definitely see it as a must-win, but they might see it as if Chelsea are held by Everton, they're definitely going to be... They won't be surprised if Chelsea are held by Everton. They'll be planning...
I will be, but they won't.
They won't. They'll be planning a full crack on Sunderland.
Well, for me, I think actually Paul's right. Ozil is causing Arsenal more problems than he's solving at the moment. And I think of any of the players at Arsenal to be having a look at the moment, I think Santi Cazorla's worth the look. He hasn't hit the heights we seen last season. I mean, last season I think he had 12 goals and 13 assists. He's only picked up, I think it's 5 goals and 4 assists so far. And I think he's actually one to have a look at. Arsenal are creating a chance at home every 6.1 minutes. That is a pretty high rate against a Sunderland side who haven't really travelled so well this season. They are getting better and their form has picked up, but they've only managed 3 wins in the road this term, and they've conceded 17 goals.
I did some work on this last week, and I basically found, because I looked at a stat from Sunderland and I thought, hold on, that doesn't sound right, but it actually was right. The difficulty for Sunderland is one half of their season the stats are really good, and the first half of their season they're brutal, so they've basically had 2 different seasons.
Yeah, well, of course it's going to bring down their averages, but even when you look over recent games, their still away form hasn't been there. They're not really picking up the wins, and certainly I think a 3.6% Cazorla is a differential.
I don't know. I think I'd argue that. I think their away form has possibly been better than their home form. Yeah, and they're unbeaten over the last 6. They've won 3 of those games and they've drew 3, I believe. So I don't know. This is one of those games where Sunderland are going to come. I think they'll give a good account of themselves. Arsenal are looking a little bit shaky. This, I suppose, the Bayern Munich match will give a lot to go towards confidence in the team. And I really think we're going to kind of see that February kind of March. Arsenal are messing it up and throwing it all away again. If they lose against Munich, I suppose in the manner that Manchester City lost, so it looks like they're pretty much out of the Champions League, and they don't score early in this, I'd be fearful that they won't pick up too many points. So I don't disagree that Cazorla should deliver, and you would expect that. Personally, I'm going to avoid this Arsenal game because I don't have confidence that they're going to get that many points against Sunderland.
All right. I've got two Sunderland players, Bardsley and Ki Sung Young. I may only have one by the time Saturday comes round, and I may play none of them. That's how I feel about Sunderland. Just this week, probably the wrong fixture to be playing Sunderland players. Will I move on? Yes. Cardiff City at home to Hull City. Here's one now. Two ex-Manchester United players coming up.
Yeah, I actually fancy Cardiff for a clean sheet in this one. I think if you've got Marshall, he's worth a look. Certainly as your goalkeeper. And listen, last week he had an absolute corker, picking up bonus points, clean sheets. He had 11 points overall. I would fancy Cardiff for a clean sheet. Hull's away form hasn't been great. Now, obviously, with Long and Jelavic in there, they are playing better. So again, the stats are slightly skewed given that we haven't really had time to take into account the effect that Long and Jelavic have had. But I'm still waning on the side of Cardiff. I think they will do well. I think Zaha is still worth a look. His game time has been cut a little more than I thought it would be, but he's still getting the lion's share of game time, and he'll be another one to have a look at this week.
All right. Paul, do you want to comment on that one, or will I keep going?
No, yeah, I'd back that up. Cocker and Marshall are very interesting, and then I suppose Zaha, and then I suppose Ince kind of comes to mind. So we'll keep on rolling.
Two teams that have had an interesting managerial, I don't know what you call this, West Brom and Fulham is what I'm trying to line up. Pepe Mel
Next
versus Felix Magath. Magath. Right, next. West Ham, and no, we've done that one.
Done that one.
Crystal Palace and Manchester United.
Yeah, I think Paul was talking about Ince. Obviously, he's possibly one to have a look at there, but against United's record on the road is actually pretty good. I think they've scored 23 goals away from home so far this season. Mada, like I said, I'm going to hold on to him. I'm going to play him. I think if you've got Rooney or Van Persie, I'd expect performances from them, probably more so Van Persie than Rooney. And United, you can never back United for a clean sheet of late, but again,
you can never back United full stop at the moment.
But I if I had the likes of Evra or Smalling or one of those, I'd play them.
Oh, you played him, sorry. Okay.
Well, I have Evans, but he's injured, so it's not much use to me.
All right, cue the Crystal Palace victory. Liverpool and Swansea. Liverpool unlucky in the cup against Arsenal.
Yeah, to a large extent. For me, the Suarez and Sturridge debate is it's definitely Sturridge at the moment.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He's now scored in 7 consecutive Premier League appearances. He's the fourth Liverpool player to do that, which is very, very impressive.
He's an out and out up there, where Suarez is so good he can move around the pitch.
Yeah, I think I seen a stat there earlier on today. I was just having a look around. I think it was like Suarez has actually only scored 2 of the last 12.
He's really fallen off.
He's starting to fall off.
See, this happened to him last year when Sturridge came back in last year. Suarez seemed to be happy to, it wasn't that he lost intensity. He's just playing a slightly different role within the team, and they're much happier. He's quite happy to have Sturridge as the sort of the lead of the attack.
Yeah,
I think there's probably 2 things to put on that. I mean, for him to keep the level of performance at the start of the season, as we spoke a few podcasts ago, was probably asking a little bit much. But the other side of it was, against Arsenal in that 5-1 win, he was definitely unlucky not to score a screamer from about 40 yards. And
he hit the woodwork a few times, didn't he?
Yeah,
Liverpool have hit the woodwork 6 times more than any other side this season.
Yeah. So the question is, when do you make the decision to forget about Luis Suarez? And what effect is that going to have? Looking at it, you could argue now is probably the time to do it. And the reason I'd say that is I don't really see any more home games where Luis Suarez is a nailed-on captain and someone who everybody by default is going to select, and you're going to miss out on a massive amount of points.
I'm going to deflect you to the midfield, though, Paul, because Suarez, Sturridge, do what you
Sterling.
like. Give us a name in the midfield. Phil's gone Sterling. One word.
Oh, it's Sterling as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Luis Suarez has scored 4 of Liverpool's last 24 league
There you have
games.
it.
There you go.
That's what you were looking for.
Yeah.
Very briefly, Newcastle and Villa.
Villa, clean sheet. Newcastle haven't scored a goal in over 10 hours now, I think it is. So I'd be looking at Villa for a clean sheet there. And perhaps if you were brave enough to have Benteke, we might see something from him. But I think there's more the clean sheet terms for Villa,
Paul,
for me.
in a word.
Kabaya's goal against for PSG sums it all up.
Yeah, good player, good team. Norwich and Spurs. Norwich tough at home. Spurs look good on the road. Call it quickly.
Spurs, Adebayor. Bentaleb has come on. It just goes to show you the faith Sherwood has had in him, because he, when you look at the players he's dropped out to bring the young fella in, he's done very well. Adebayor has now scored 8 and assisted in 2 in 10 Premier League appearances under Sherwood, which is a fantastic return.
2 very quick questions for both of you. Ericsson, I'm thinking of getting rid of him.
Got rid of him already.
Bentaleb, thinking of bringing him in.
He's a nice differential. I'm just not so sure we'd see that when he returns out of him every week, but it's an interesting prospect.
All right, and next up, it's Captain's Picks. Right, Captain's Picks. Where are they going to come from? Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. Take your pick.
Oh, for me, I think it's going to come for Sturridge against Swansea, or I would look to Zeko against Stoke.
All right. Paul?
Yeah, again, I have to say I have the same 2 picked out. So, question mark over Suarez. So I'm on the Sturridge side of things. And look, Zeko against Stoke. I mean, it's Man City and it's Liverpool. They've got the fixtures where they could run riot. So pick one from any. There's no one nailed on, I suppose.
Yeah, well, listen, Stoke have gone 10 games without a clean sheet now, so you have to fancy City to be scoring all day long there, and Liverpool are in good form, and Swansea under Gary Monk just haven't quite clicked yet.
Double your points, get on it. Right, just time to tell you about Live Time. It is on Saturday morning between 10:30 and 11:30 on the Twitter machine. # Live Time. Get your last minute questions in for all the rumours, gossip and team news and blah blah blah.
And me.
And Phil. All right, that's about all we've time for. God, I can speak pretty quickly when I want. Paul, it's been delicious not to have to look at your ugly face. Thanks for your company, though.
Let's go watch Bayern demolish.
Have you got that haircut yet, have you?
Have we the same?